Good morning, children. Stay safely at home. So, I am starting today the next chapter, upthrust and Archimedes principle. Now, what is upthrust? When you immerse a body in a fluid means which can flow, liquid or gas. Now, when you immerse a body in a fluid, then the body will displace certain amount of fluid. Now, this displaced fluid exert an upward force on the immersed body. So, that upward force exerted by the displaced fluid on the immersed body is known as upthrust. Alright, so you can write what is upthrust. The upward force exerted on a body by the fluid in which it is submerged is called the upthrust. It is also known as buoyant force. Okay, now the question will arise that what is the reason of this upthrust? Alright, so that we will learn first and then I will come to the other points. Okay, what is the reason for upthrust? Now suppose you have immersed our body in a fluid. Alright, in a liquid. In this case we have taken one liquid. So the body is PQRS. Then according to our concept of liquid pressure, what the liquid will do, you see here I have drawn it by arrows. Liquid will exert pressure from all direction. Now look at this sidewise pressure. This sidewise pressure as they are on the same horizontal level. Just look at it, they are on the same horizontal level. So on the same horizontal level, pressure is always same. So you see, if you consider these first two arrows, they are representing the sidewise pressure exerted by the liquid on the body. Now look at the arrows, they are equal in magnitude but opposite in direction. So what they will do, the sidewise pressure, they will simply cancel their effect each other. Alright, so one can consider as if there is no pressure acting there. Consider that both sides, that's why I have just removed the arrows. Both side arrows, the pressures, they are cancelling each other. Now let us consider the pressure acting on the topmost surface and the pressure exerted by the fluid on the bottom surface. Alright, now you see pressure acting, you can write it like this, pressure on the topmost surface. According to our concept, let us denote it by P1. According to our concept of liquid pressure, you know P is given by HdG or H rho G if you consider rho be the density. So here you see, you can write it will be H1 rho into G. Look at it, I have just shown it. H1 is the depth of the upper surface from the free surface of the liquid. And here rho is the density of the liquid. What is rho? Rho is the density of the liquid and H is equal to, H means the height of the body. It is equal to H2 minus H1. Look at it. From here to here, this is H2 and this is H1. So what is the height QR? QR is equal to H2 minus H1. So you see, pressure on the topmost surface P1 is H1 rho G. So what will be the force F1 acting in the downward direction on the topmost surface? I could have used the name PQ. Topmost surface, F1 is how much? Pressure into the cross-sectional area. So let us consider here A is the cross-sectional area of the body. Alright, so you are getting what? H1 A rho G. Here within bracket I have given an arrow in the downward direction because you see pressure of the liquid, it is acting in the downward direction. So force is also acting in the downward direction. Now exactly in the same manner, what will be pressure on the bottom surface? Okay, I am not writing the bottom surface, I am writing the name of the surface. Okay, pressure on the surface is R. what it will be? P2, it will be H2 rho into G, isn't it? Just you see here, liquid pressure is given by H rho G. So what is the depth of the surface SR? H2. So it will be H2 rho G. Then what will be force F2? F2 acting in which direction? You see, inside it is a solid body. So this one, it cannot move inside and apply the pressure in the downward direction. So here the liquid can exert pressure only in the upward direction. So F2 is acting in the upward direction. Force acting on SR. How much it will be? It will be P2 into the cross-sectional area. So you can write it as H2A rho into G. So, if you consider the body, on the body, two unbalanced forces are acting. F1 in the downward direction, F2 in the upward direction. Alright, direction are opposite. Another point, look at the magnitude. H1A rho G, it is H2A rho G. H2 is bigger than H1. So, what conclusion you can draw? F2 is bigger than F1. Alright, so you can say what is the net force acting on the body. So what will be the net upward force? Not only net force, it is upward force. Net upward force acting on the body. What you can write? It will be F2 minus F1. Alright, so F2 was how much? H2A rho G. And F1 was how much? H1A rho G. So you see, you can take A rho G common. If you take A rho G common, then it is becoming H2 minus H1. So it is HA rho G. Is that clear? Now you see, height into cross-sectional area. What it is? Height into cross-sectional area is volume. So V rho G. So you see, net upward force acting on the body is nothing but upthrust. So we have got the first relation of upthrust. And what is V here? V is the volume of the submerged portion of the body. Volume of submerged portion of the body. Or you can say this is the volume of displaced liquid. Alright, because you see, whatever be the volume of the body within the liquid, that will be the volume of the displaced liquid. So you see, this is the first expression for upthrust you have got, and very, very important relation it is. Okay, upthrust is equal to V into rho into G. What does V stand for? That is also another important concept. V is the volume of the submerged portion of the body. In this case, the body is fully submerged. But it may happen that body is partially submerged. Alright, so that's why you have to consider which volume of the body, the volume, the portion which is within the liquid, that volume you have to consider. Alright, so that's why don't forget this concept that V stands for volume of submerged portion of the body, and one can say this is nothing but the volume of the displaced liquid. Alright, so from this relation we are getting very important concept of the upthrust. So what is the concept we have got about upthrust? Upthrust always act in the upward direction, and upthrust is equal to V rho G. V is the volume of the displaced liquid. So you see, once you have got this relation, easily you can say the factors on which upthrust depend. Factors on which upthrust depend, it depends on V, it depends on rho, it depends on G. So what is the first factor on which upthrust depends? Volume of the displaced liquid. Okay, greater the value of V, greater is the upthrust. Alright, greater means if V increases, upthrust will increase. If V decreases, upthrust will decrease, and vice versa you can write. Then next one is upthrust also depends on the density of the liquid. It depends on what? It depends on density of the liquid, rho. So, if rho is more, U is more, and vice versa. It means if you increase the density of the liquid, upthrust will increase. If you decrease the density of the liquid, upthrust will decrease. Then it depends on the value of G, means it depends on acceleration due to gravity. Alright, if G increases, then U also increases, and vice versa. Very simple relation. Alright. So, these are the two important concepts, that what is the reason for upthrust, and upthrust depends on which factors, and how upthrust depends on the factors described. Now, so we have got the magnitude of the upthrust. So, upthrust is a force. Okay. Now, you know that force always will act at one point. So, remember that upthrust acts at the center of buoyancy, B. Alright. Now, if you consider a body which is fully immersed within the liquid, in that case, you see what are the forces acting on the body? Weight of the force acting downward. Alright. Now, W means weight of the body. You know that weight of the body acts at center of gravity, G. This is the point you have to remember. Weight acts at which point? Weight acts at center of gravity. And the upthrust acts at which point? Upthrust acts at center of buoyancy. Now, when the body is completely immersed, alright, then then the center of buoyancy and the center of gravity, they coincide with each other. So, if I consider this is the center of gravity G, then this will be the center of buoyancy only. When it will happen? When the body is completely immersed. Okay, these are the important concept, and this is a very interesting topic. So, here you have to remember, when a body is completely immersed, then the center of buoyancy and center of gravity B and G, they coincide with each other. And in this case, you see what are the forces acting. Upthrust is acting in the upward direction, weight is acting in the downward direction. And if the body is floating, completely immersed, then you can say W equal to U. So, if you draw the diagram, then all the informations you are getting. What are the informations I said? Upthrust acts at center of buoyancy B, weight acts at center of gravity G, and when the body is completely immersed, look at the diagram, the body is completely within the liquid, in that case, and the body is floating. In that case, what will happen? That B and G, they will coincide. U will act in the upward direction, W will act in the downward direction, and W will equal to U. Is that clear? Understood? I hope. Now this thing also may happen. You have seen this. Sometimes it happens that body is partially submerged and floating. Body is partially submerged and floating. Then, if you draw a vertical line through the body, then center of gravity and the buoyancy, they do not coincide with each other. Center of gravity and buoyancy, they will be on the same vertical line. Center of gravity will be means higher than center of buoyancy, and in this case, weight also acting in the downward direction and upthrust is acting in the upward direction. So, this is the difference between the two floating bodies. I repeat, when the body is completely immersed, then everything is very simple. B and G are at the same point on the vertical line drawn, and U are acting upward, W act downward. But when it is partially submerged, in that case, G and B, they will not coincide, but they will lie on the same vertical line passing through the center of gravity, okay? And here center of buoyancy is lower than the center of gravity. So you see, upthrust is acting in the upward direction, weight is acting in the downward direction. So in this case also, as the body is floating, weight is equal to upthrust. But the interesting thing is that what is the weight of the body? You see, weight of the body is total volume of the body, then density of the solid into G. Alright, because you know weight is equal to mass into G, and mass is volume into density. So what does V represent here? V is the total volume of the body. What does V represent? Total volume of the body. And rho S is the density of the body, means solid. That's why I have written S. Density of the solid or body. Is that clear? Now, what will be U? U will be small v rho L G. Okay, why? Because you see, what is the volume of the submerged portion? This is the volume of the submerged portion, small v. So, what does small v represent? This is volume of displaced liquid. Volume of displaced liquid, and rho L is the density of the liquid. Is that clear? Into G. Okay, now in this case W is V rho S G, and U is V rho L G. Both of them are having the same V. Why? Because the body is completely immersed. So these are the two cases you have to remember. Okay, and that's why I always prefer that you draw the diagram. And if you draw the diagram and write down these relations, then what will happen? That you will easily understand the physics behind it. And you also please copy this way. Then you can remember all the important point related with the topic. Now you see what this relation you have got, upthrust is equal to V into rho L into G. So I'm just writing in sentence. So V is what? Volume of displaced liquid. Alright. Then rho L is what? Density of the liquid. Alright. Into G. So you see, volume and density, if you multiply, you will get mass. So what are you getting? Mass of displaced liquid into G. Now mass of displaced liquid into G. Mass into G is nothing but weight. So what are you getting? You see, weight of displaced liquid. Alright. So what comment you can make? That upthrust exerted by a body, upthrust exerted by a fluid on a submerged body is nothing but weight of displaced liquid, and this is only known as Archimedes principle. Alright, Archimedes took long time to prove it, and you children, you see, with few steps you have done it. That upthrust is equal to weight of displaced liquid. Alright, now you have to write down the statement of Archimedes principle. So, you see, Archimedes principle is what? When a body is immersed partially or completely in a liquid, it experiences an upthrust which is equal to the weight of the liquid displaced by it. So, we have got the same thing, isn't it? So, Archimedes principle, theoretically it is proved. Now you can prove Archimedes principle either by using a physical balance or by using a spring balance. Alright. Now the experiments I am just explaining. That experiment you do not have to copy in the notebook. You just understand it. That how the experimentally one can prove Archimedes principle. For the first experiment, that how experimentally you can prove the Archimedes principle, okay, by using a physical balance. So to prove it, we need first these two things, that we need two identical cylindrical body. Alright, A and B, these two are, I may not draw it identical, but I am verbally saying, so these two bodies A and B, they are identical and cylindrical. But A is solid and B is hollow. Alright, now what is done? You just remove the scale pan from the left hand side of a physical balance, and from that left hand side, first you suspend B and then you suspend A. Means this is the way you suspend. Put some weight on the right scale pan so that it become perfectly horizontal. Alright. So you see, what you can say, weight on the left hand side is equal to weight to the right hand side. Alright. Now next what is done? Now you see what you have done. You have kept here one stool, over that you have kept one beaker full of water, and you have kept it in such a way that A is fully submerged within it. But A should not touch the walls or the bottom surface of the beaker full of water. Alright. Then what will happen? Then you will observe that on A will display certain amount of liquid. So upthrust will act on it. So you see, when upthrust will act, it will act in the upward direction. So what it will do? It will decrease the total downward force. So you will observe that this rod, I am not drawing the entire diagram, this rod, it will be like this, means it will tilt towards the right, because this side is now heavy and this side has become lighter. Why this side has become lighter? Due to the upthrust acting on it. So this horizontal rod, it will become like this only. Okay. Now you completely fill up B is hollow, no, B with water. So when you will completely fill up B with water, then you will see again it will become perfectly horizontal. The rod will perfectly horizontal. What does it mean? In the second case, upthrust reduced the weight on the left hand side, means upthrust reduce the downward force on the left hand side, and when you have filled up by water, then upthrust is balanced by the weight of water here. Now what is this weight of water? As I said, A and B are identical. So the weight, the water you have kept within B, it is nothing but equal to the volume of the displaced liquid. So what is proved? That upthrust is equal to the weight of displaced liquid, and that is the Archimedes principle. So this is the way, by using physical balance, you can prove the Archimedes principle. Now one can prove Archimedes principle by using a spring balance also. Now by using a spring balance, how you can prove the Archimedes principle is that you just take the spring balance and you take a body, you just take the spring balance and you take the body by which a solid body, and you need a Eureka can and a measuring cylinder. So first of all, what you will do? You see here, from the spring balance, when you will suspend the solid body, then the solid body is in air, then you see the pointer will come down through the scale. So this reading will give you the weight of the body in air. Alright. So you see, this is weight of the body in air. You find out what is the reading from the spring balance. Now, you completely filled up the Eureka can by water and then slowly immerse the body within the Eureka can, but keep one measuring cylinder below the nozzle of the Eureka can. Now what will happen? This body will displace certain amount of liquid. That liquid will come out through this nozzle and it will be collected in the measuring cylinder. Now what will happen to the spring balance reading? So when it is immersed in the liquid will exert an upthrust. So due to the upthrust, what will happen? The weight is shown by the spring ballast, it will decrease. So you see, that's why I have just taken the pointer up. So you note down what is the weight of the body in water, in the liquid. So you see, W1 minus W2 is the loss in weight of the body, which is equal to the upthrust. And experimentally you can find out, you will collect the liquid within the measuring cylinder, so easily you can find out what is the volume from the reading. Then volume multiplied by density of the liquid into G will be equal to W1 minus W2. So W1 minus W2 is the upthrust acting on the body. So what you have got? Upthrust acting on the body is equal to the weight of the displaced liquid. Now from the concept of upthrust and Archimedes principle, whatever concept you have got, I have summarized point-wise. So here you see, when we consider the true weight, it means the weight of the body in air. According to our concept of upthrust, when you are immersing a body in a liquid, then weight inside the liquid is equal to, if you write WL, it should be weight in air minus upthrust. Alright. So you see, upthrust one can write this way also. Weight in air minus weight inside the liquid. And weight in air minus weight inside the liquid is nothing but loss in weight inside the liquid. Loss in weight of the body inside the liquid. And upthrust is given by V into rho into G, where V is the volume of the displaced liquid, rho should be the density of the liquid, that's why the subscript L I have given, into G. So apparent weight of a body, you can write it as from this relation only. I have written in a using different terminology. So instead of writing weight inside the liquid, you can write apparent weight within the liquid is equal to WAR, means true weight minus upthrust. So you can write it as weight minus upthrust. Now, when a body floats, I hope you can remember the two diagram I have drawn, completely immersed and partially immersed. In both the cases, I wrote W equal to U. Why the body is neither moving up nor coming down? Because the upward and downward forces were equal. Downward force W, upward force U. Both were equal. That's why they were floating within the liquid. Neither they were moving up nor they were coming down. So here you see, for a floating body, as W equal to U, so the apparent weight of a floating body is equal to 0. You must learn and remember all these points I have written here, because this will help you also to answer any conceptual question as well as in solving the numerical. So everybody should learn and practice the relations I wrote at the last of this video. Thank you, girls.